The smell of burnt coffee and broken dreams hit me as I walked into my kitchen that Tuesday morning. My wife Jennifer was already there, arms crossed, wearing that look that meant my day was about to get a whole lot worse. "Danny, we need to talk," she said, not bothering with pleasantries. 23 years of marriage had taught us both to skip the foreplay when delivering bad news. I poured myself coffee from the pot that looked like it had been brewing since the Clinton administration. "Shoot. My sister Linda is moving in with us. She lost her apartment again. I nearly choked on the bitter liquid. Linda. The human tornado who could destroy a room just by walking through it. The woman who thought work was a four-letter word and treated other people's money like her personal ATM. For how long? I asked, though I already knew the answer would make me want to punch something. However long she needs. She's family, Danny. She's going through a rough patch. Rough patch. That's what Jennifer called Linda's permanent vacation from responsibility. The woman was 38 years old and had never held a job longer than 6 months. Her idea of contributing to society was posting inspirational quotes on Facebook between episodes of reality TV. "Jen, we can barely afford our own bills. I'm working 60-hour weeks at the garage just to keep us afloat. She'll help out around the house." I laughed, actually laughed. Linda? Help? The woman who thinks loading the dishwasher is manual labor? Jennifer's face hardened. She's my sister. End of discussion. That's when I knew this wasn't a request. This was Jennifer telling me how my life was going to be, in my own house, that I paid for with my own sweat and blood. "Fine," I said, grabbing my keys. "But when this blows up in our faces, don't come crying to me." I slammed the door harder than necessary and headed to Murphy's Auto Repair, the shop I'd been running for the past 15 years. It wasn't much, but it was mine. Or at least it felt like mine until I got home each night to remember that nothing in my life actually belonged to me anymore. My best friend Mike was already under the hood of a '98 Honda when I arrived. We'd known each other since high school, back when we thought we'd conquer the world instead of just trying to survive it. "You look like someone pissed in your cornflakes," he said without looking up. "Linda's moving in." Mike's wrench slipped, and he cursed. "Jesus, Danny, for how long?" Jennifer says however long she needs. That could be forever. You know Linda's never going to get her act together. That was the thing about old friends. They told you the truth even when you didn't want to hear it. Mike had watched Linda's parade of disasters over the years. The evictions, the maxed-out credit cards, the string of boyfriends who mysteriously disappeared when the bills came due. What am I supposed to do? Jennifer's already decided. Stand up to her, man. It's your house, too. Easy for him to say. Mike was divorced, living alone in a studio apartment, answering to nobody. He'd never understand the complex negotiations that kept a marriage from exploding. But as the day wore on, his words stuck with me. It was my house, too. I'd been making the mortgage payments for over a decade. I'd fixed every broken pipe, painted every room, replaced every burned-out bulb. When did I become a guest in my own home? Linda arrived that evening with 3 suitcases, 2 garbage bags, and an attitude that suggested she was doing us a favor by gracing us with her presence. She immediately claimed the guest room, spreading her belongings across every surface like she was marking territory. "Thanks for letting me crash here," she said, though her tone suggested she expected nothing less. "I'll try to stay out of your way." Within 2 hours, she'd eaten half the food in our refrigerator, left wet towels on the bathroom floor, and commandeered the TV remote. She ordered pizza for dinner without asking and expected me to pay for it. "I'm between jobs right now," she explained when the delivery guy arrived, "but I've got some promising interviews lined up." Promising interviews. Right. Linda's idea of job hunting was scrolling through Indeed while watching Netflix. The next few weeks were a masterclass in slow-motion torture. Linda treated our house like her personal hotel, complete with room service and a maid. She slept until noon, left dishes in the sink, and used our utilities like they were free. My electric bill doubled. Our grocery budget tripled. But the worst part was watching Jennifer enable it all. She made excuses for every mess, every unpaid bill, every broken promise. Linda was adjusting and going through a tough time and doing her best. I started working later just to avoid coming home. Mike noticed. "You can't live like this forever," he said one evening as we closed up the shop. "Something's got to give." What am I supposed to do? Throw her out on the street? Why not? She's a grown woman. Let her figure it out. Jennifer would never forgive me. Mike shook his head. And you'll never forgive yourself if you don't. The breaking point came on a Saturday morning. I was trying to enjoy my one day off, sitting in my own living room, when Linda emerged from her cave demanding breakfast. "Could you make some eggs?" she asked Jennifer. "I'm starving. Not please, not when you get a chance. Just a demand, like Jennifer was her personal servant. I watched my wife, the woman I'd fallen in love with in college, who used to be strong and independent, jump up to serve her lazy sister. Again. "Make your own damn eggs," I said. Linda looked at me like I'd suggested she perform brain surgery. "Excuse me? You heard me. You're 38 years old. Make your own breakfast." "Danny," Jennifer warned. "No, Jen. I'm tired of this. She's been here a month and hasn't contributed a single dollar or lifted a single finger. This isn't a hotel." Linda's face twisted with indignation. "I can't believe you're being so cruel. I'm family. Family works. Family contributes. Family doesn't treat their relatives like unpaid servants. I'm looking for work." Looking. When? Between episodes of The Bachelor and your afternoon naps? That's when Linda played her trump card. She started crying. Not real tears. The manufactured kind designed to manipulate people into feeling guilty. "I can't help that I'm going through a hard time," she sobbed. "I thought family was supposed to support each other." Jennifer immediately rushed to comfort her, shooting me a look that could have melted steel. "Danny, apologize. Right now." Apologize? For what? Telling the truth? For being cruel to someone who's already down? I looked at my wife, really looked at her, and realized I didn't recognize the person standing in front of me. When had she become someone who rewarded laziness and punished honesty? "I'm not apologizing for expecting a grown woman to act like a grown woman." Jennifer's face went cold. "Then maybe you should find somewhere else to be today." So I did. I went to Murphy's, even though we were closed, and started working on my own truck. Mike found me there 2 hours later, covered in grease and frustration. Rough morning? I told him everything. The breakfast demand, the fight, Jennifer's ultimatum. Mike listened without interrupting, occasionally nodding or shaking his head. "You know what your problem is?" he said when I finished. "You're fighting the wrong battle." "What do you mean?" "You're trying to change Linda." But Linda's not the problem. Jennifer is. The words hit me like a punch to the gut because I knew he was right. Linda was just being Linda, selfish, lazy, entitled. But Jennifer was choosing to enable it. Jennifer was choosing Linda over me. So what do? You stop playing their game. You stop being the bad guy who wants to kick poor Linda out. You make them realize what they're losing. Mike's plan was simple but brilliant. Instead of fighting about Linda directly, I would withdraw completely. No more arguments, no more complaints, no more engagement. I would become a polite stranger in my own home. "Let them have their little sisterhood," Mike said, "but don't you dare fund it." So that's what I did. I opened my own bank account and moved my paychecks there. I stopped buying groceries beyond basic necessities for myself. I ate dinner at the shop or grabbed something on the way home. I was cordial but distant, like a roommate who barely knew them. Jennifer noticed immediately. "What's wrong with you lately?" she asked after a week of my new approach. "Nothing's wrong. I'm just giving you and Linda space to figure things out." "Figure what out?" "How you're going to pay the bills." Her face went pale. "What do you mean?" I mean, I'm not subsidizing Linda's extended vacation anymore. You want to support her? Go ahead, but do it with your own money. Danny, you can't be serious. Dead serious. My money goes to my expenses. Your money goes to yours. If Linda wants to stay here, she can start paying rent. Jennifer sputtered, trying to find an argument that would make me back down. But there wasn't one. I wasn't being cruel or unreasonable. I was just refusing to enable the situation anymore. We're married, she finally said. We share expenses. We share necessary expenses. Linda isn't necessary. The next few weeks were tense but educational. Jennifer tried every manipulation tactic in the book. Guilt trips, silent treatments, emotional blackmail. She even got Linda to apologize and promise to do better. But I held firm, and slowly, the financial reality began to hit home. Jennifer's part-time job at the dental office barely covered her personal expenses, let alone Linda's. The grocery bills started piling up. The utilities went unpaid. That's when Jennifer made her fatal mistake. She called Mike. You need to talk to Danny, she told him. He's being completely unreasonable about Linda. Mike, being the good friend he was, told me about the conversation immediately. She actually asked me to gang up on you, he said, shaking his head. Like I was going to help her guilt you into supporting her deadbeat sister. But Jennifer didn't stop there. She called my other friends, my co-workers, even my elderly mother trying to build a coalition against me. She painted me as the villain who wanted to throw his poor sister-in-law out on the street. Most people saw through it, but a few didn't. Tom from the shop started giving me cold looks. Sarah from our old bowling league stopped returning my calls. Even my neighbor Bob seemed distant when I waved hello. Jennifer was systematically trying to turn my social circle against me, and with some people, it was working. The final straw came when she called my biggest client, Mrs. Patterson, and told her I was going through some personal issues that might affect my work quality. Mrs. Patterson, bless her heart, called me directly to ask if everything was okay. That's when I realized Jennifer wasn't just choosing Linda over me. She was actively trying to destroy my life to get her way. I called Mike that night. She's gone too far, I told him. What do you want to do? I want to end this. Permanently. Mike was quiet for a moment. You sure? I'm sure. Then let's make it count. The plan we hatched was beautiful in its simplicity. Jennifer wanted to play dirty? Fine. But she'd picked a fight with the wrong guy. I started documenting everything: Linda's lack of contribution, Jennifer's manipulation tactics, the attempts to sabotage my business relationships. I recorded conversations, saved text messages, kept receipts. Then I did something Jennifer never expected. I called Linda's ex-boyfriend, the one who dumped her right before she lost her apartment. Hey Jason, it's Danny, Jennifer's husband. I was wondering if you could tell me why you and Linda broke up. Jason was more than happy to share. Apparently, Linda had been stealing money from his wallet, running up charges on his credit cards, and generally treating his apartment like her personal ATM. When he confronted her, she'd threatened to call the police and claim he'd hit her. She's got a whole pattern, Jason explained. She finds some guy, moves in, bleeds him dry, then moves on to the next victim. I heard she's done it to at least 3 other guys. Interesting. Very interesting. I made a few more calls and discovered that Linda's rough patch wasn't bad luck. It was a lifestyle. She'd been bouncing from relative to relative, friend to friend, boyfriend to boyfriend for years, always with the same sob story about needing just a little help to get back on her feet. Jennifer was just the latest mark. Armed with this information, I made my move. I called a family meeting. We need to talk about Linda's situation, I announced over dinner. Jennifer immediately went defensive. Danny, we've been through this. No, we haven't. We've never actually talked about Linda's history. I laid out everything I'd learned. The pattern of manipulation, the string of victims, the complete lack of any genuine effort to become self-sufficient. Linda tried to deny it, but the evidence was overwhelming. Phone numbers, dates, names of previous hosts who'd eventually gotten fed up and kicked her out. She's a professional victim, I concluded. And Jennifer, she's using you. Jennifer's face was a mask of confusion and denial. That's not true. She's my sister. Being your sister doesn't give her the right to destroy our marriage. She's not destroying anything. Really? Then why did you call Mrs. Patterson and try to sabotage my business? Jennifer went white. She hadn't known I'd found out about that. I was just... You were just what? Trying to ruin my reputation because I wouldn't subsidize your sister's laziness? The room fell silent. Linda, for once in her life, had nothing to say. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. Linda, you have 2 weeks to find somewhere else to live. I'll even help you look for apartments and jobs. But you're not staying here anymore. You can't kick me out, Linda protested. This is Jennifer's house, too. Actually, it's not. I pulled out a folder I'd prepared. The house is in my name only. I bought it before Jennifer and I got married, and I've been making all the payments. Legally, this is my house. Jennifer stared at me like I'd grown a second head. You looked into that? I looked into a lot of things, like how you've been telling people I'm having mental health issues, and how you tried to turn my friends against me, and how you called my biggest client to undermine my business. I didn't mean... You meant every word. You decided that Linda was more important than our marriage, and you were willing to destroy me to get your way. Jennifer started crying, real tears this time, not Linda's manufactured ones. I just wanted to help my sister. No, you wanted to avoid conflict with your sister. There's a difference. I stood up, suddenly exhausted by the whole situation. Linda, you have 2 weeks. Jennifer, you have a choice to make. You can choose your marriage, or you can choose to enable Linda's dysfunction, but you can't do both. I walked out of the room, leaving them to process what had just happened. The next 2 weeks were the longest of my life. Jennifer barely spoke to me. Linda alternated between tearful apologies and angry accusations. The house felt like a war zone. But I held firm. I helped Linda look for apartments, even offered to pay the security deposit on a reasonable place. I gave her contact information for temp agencies and entry-level jobs. I did everything I could to help her transition to independence. Linda, predictably, rejected every option. The apartments were too small, too expensive, in bad neighborhoods. The jobs were beneath her, didn't pay enough, required too much effort. On the last day, she finally showed her true colors. "You're destroying this family," she screamed at me. "Jennifer will never forgive you for this." "Maybe not," I said calmly. "But at least she'll have the chance to remember who she used to be before you moved in." Linda packed her bags and left that afternoon, muttering threats and curses. Jennifer helped her load the car, tears streaming down her face. After Linda drove away, Jennifer and I stood in our driveway, not speaking. The silence stretched between us like a chasm. "Are you happy now?" she finally asked. "No," I said honestly. "I'm not happy. But I'm not miserable anymore either." Jennifer looked at me with something that might have been recognition. "When did we become these people?" she whispered. "I don't know. But we can decide who we want to be going forward." It took months of counseling, honest conversations, and hard work, but Jennifer and I slowly found our way back to each other. She admitted that she'd been afraid of Linda's anger, afraid of being seen as the mean sister who wouldn't help family. "I lost myself somewhere along the way," she confessed during one of our sessions. "I forgot that being kind doesn't mean being a doormat." Linda, meanwhile, moved in with a cousin in another state. Last I heard, she'd worn out her welcome there too and was living with some guy she'd met online. Some people never learn, but some people do. As for Mike and the friends who'd turned against me during Jennifer's campaign, most of them came around once they understood the full story. The ones who didn't weren't really friends anyway. 6 months later, Jennifer and I renewed our wedding vows in a small ceremony with just our closest friends and family. Linda wasn't invited. "Do you think I'm a terrible person for not inviting her?" Jennifer asked me the night before. "I think you're a person who's learned the difference between love and enabling," I replied. "And that makes you pretty wonderful in my book." The next morning, as we stood in front of our friends and family, promising once again to love and honor each other, I realized something important. Sometimes the best way to save a marriage isn't to avoid conflict. It's to fight for what matters. And what mattered was us. Not Linda's drama, not other people's opinions, not keeping the peace at any cost. Just us, and the life we'd built together, and the future we wanted to create. As we kissed and our friends cheered, I caught Mike's eye in the crowd. He raised his beer in a subtle salute, and I knew he was thinking the same thing I was. Sometimes the good guys do win. You just have to be willing to fight for it. For it. For it. For it. For it.